Hello, this is Kathy Salisbury, the director of the Ambler Arboretum of Temple University. And for today's virtual walk, I'm going to take you on a tour of the seasonal containers that Michelle Lapp and Kat Mahalik have put together for the students and faculty and staff and visitors who are on campus, and show you some of their creativity. And so we'll start here with this amazing structure, and hopefully this will give you some inspiration on what you can do in your containers during this time of year. So we'll just show you some of what they're using here. So a lot of this is foraged and sourced from the Arboretum. As part of routine maintenance that we need to do, we hold off on cutting back and pruning certain plants so that we can use them for our winter displays. The Arboretum is not a place where you can just come in and cut anything you want or anything at all, but we specifically plan our maintenance so that we can have materials to use in our displays, and then we don't have to buy them or ship them in, so it's also more sustainable that way. And so here we have a mix of blue spruce and the great shiny green leaves of southern magnolia here in this arch. We have some scavenged logs with beautiful lichens, which add a nice touch of interest here as well. And these displays do require thinking ahead and thinking creatively. And so you'll see here, these are the seed heads from ornamental onions. So they get these giant flowers, usually purples or whites. And then the seed heads persist in the garden for quite some time. But before they completely disintegrate over the season, we cut them. And so this is in around June or July. We cut them and dry them, and then they're spray painted and used in these containers. So we also include seed heads like the ornamental onion. Here we've spray painted some of the magnolia leaves. And then we also were lucky enough to inherit some cabbages that just were not going to turn into cabbage heads by the end of the growing season in a vegetable garden. So we've taken them out and we've used them in the container display. So here you see we have some spruce boughs, we have the cones, we have the magnolia, and these beautiful dark purple cabbage. And so it requires some forethought in thinking of how you're going to use materials, and also not looking at all materials as compost or waste. Hi. And so we've also, here you see some birch branches. Another really clever thing so Kat Mahalik takes care of this area here. We're in the West Hall Welcome Garden. So this is the area at West Hall where our administration building is, and admissions and all of that. So it's a pretty high traffic area. And so here we have a really clever use. This is 2 half circle hanging baskets that are tied together here to make a sphere, and the sphere has been shoved full of different types of cones and seed pods. You can see there's a Carolina allspice seed pod right there too. So all kinds of fruits in here, and this was filled, but the squirrels have found it, and they really like this little buffet that's going on here. This is still the West Hall Welcome Garden, and in the days of social distancing and not being able to do indoor events, Kat and our volunteers, we have had help from volunteers here, have built an outdoor fire space. And so we have the benches here, and again, reuse the cabbage from the fall. Here's magnolia seed pods that you can see in here, white pine cones. This lovely green is Thuiopsis or false arborvitae. Look at on the back side, it has this great white details here. It's really stunning. That's the underside of the leaves. And then here's the tops. So really beautiful. Slow growing though. And we've taken some older containers and just wrapped them in burlap, so you don't need to buy something new. Again, we have the seed pods from the allium, and we have holly with a fruit, white pine cones, white pine boughs. This grass here, this is chasmanthium, northern sea oats, tucked in here, and again with the magnolia and the allium. And then the trellises that normally would have vines growing on them are just structural and interesting. And to make our mantle, we have some ash logs. We've done a lot over this season, cutting down the dead ash trees that were killed from emerald ash borer. So we have logs everywhere. And for our fire, we have red twig, dogwood, and some other branches that have been spray painted, and some seed heads in there, and some birch logs. So you can see you can get really creative with your containers here. So this is our fireplace with a mantle outdoors, welcoming you at the West Hall Welcome Garden. Here we have another display, and one of the things our Kat and Michelle do throughout the season is think about what they're going to do for the holidays and for the winter season in our containers. And so they save seed heads and flower pods and stalks and all kinds of things as preparation or supplies for their container display. And here you just see this magnificent echinacea, so purple coneflower and mullein stalks that have been spray painted gold. And they're just beautiful and really creative and clever. So again, you don't need to go out and buy a bunch of stuff. You can repurpose or take advantage of what you have growing in your garden and think about it in a different way and how to use it in the holidays. Here we have behind the bicycle rack a nice display of spray painted branches in a window box. The other place that you'll be welcomed onto campus, of course, is at the Meetinghouse Road entrance, which is across from our visitors parking lot on Meetinghouse Road. And so we have some new container designs here to welcome you in for the winter season. And so here again you see the giant allium seed heads, spray painted silver, the cabbage. There's some carex tucked into here, white pine boughs, even some English ivy for drooping, and silver painted branches. We're an arboretum. We have thousands of trees. We have no end of branches, and you just add a little spray paint to them and all of a sudden they're festive and not as annoying as you might think they are when they're falling down around you all the time and you have to pick up sticks off the trails constantly. So here we have our little yucca here, which is great in this pot, which is kind of shallow, but it'll get dry, but that's okay because it's a yucca. Our holly, blue holly here. And then this guy who looks like Cousin It is white pine boughs upside down, stuck together with some grass seed heads on the top of it. And isn't it just great? So many, you want to think of textures and colors and different ways. You know, you don't just have to stick a bough or a branch of something, you know, branch side down or it's cut side down. You can think of different ways to use them and really get these unique characteristics in your containers as well. And of course, here we are in the formal gardens. And if I'm going to be honest here in this video, I have a little bit of an obsession with ornamental onions, with alliums. And so I have encouraged them to be planted in the arboretum, and they're deer resistant, which is nice and means that we don't have to do anything to protect them. And it's also given us a lot of seed heads to play around with. So as you can see here, we have these cercis, these red buds in these big containers, these big planters here. And now that they've lost their leaves, the alliums have been hung from them like ornaments. These are things that I would have never thought of, and my clever, creative Arboretum staff, horticulture staff, Kat and Michelle, and their volunteers have just done a terrific job of changing things through the seasons. This one, we're not quite finished yet, and the deer have eaten the plants that were in there. But look at these ornaments, aren't they great? While we're walking up here, you can see, hi! We can see that we've left some plant material up in the formal garden. The materials that have flopped and fallen over, we've cleaned up. And generally, we recommend not doing a fall cleanup because there's lots of beneficial insects in the debris of a fall garden that overwinter and then are your pest preventers or pest management system in the spring and summer. In this case, we do keep it a little bit neater in here because it's the formal garden, but we feel comfortable that there's so many other places around the Arboretum, like our meadows, where insects and beneficial insects overwinter, and our naturalistic gardens like the healing garden and the wetland garden, that we are okay to take some of this material down. But we do leave it up if it's standing upright and it has seed heads that birds could use, and it provides some habitat. We do try to leave it up. And so another container. You can see here a few containers. Here we have again the ornamental cabbages. We have actually this pine, dragon's eye pine, was buck rubbed, and these branches were broken by a buck rubbing on this little tree, so we were able to repurpose those into this display. Here again you see the chasmanthium, the northern sea oats, the red twig dogwood. Here we have some arborvitae. Oh no, cypress, sorry. And we have the ornamental onion seed heads again. But look how colorful this is, and it will last long into the winter. Here we going up the Dixon stairs here. Here we have used some spray paint on the Rattlesnake Master seed pods, Eryngium seed pods. Here we have some hibiscus seed pods and some fern cabbages and some mahonia leaves in here. So you want to think texture and color, and again, what is it that you might be throwing away or putting in your compost pile that you could use as a display instead. And just to give you an idea of how big this is, you can see how that is some seed head there. And again, the cabbage, a bow around some stalks of grass here, and the grass has some glitter and spray paint on it. Here we have some Japanese holly and this nice wintergreen barberry in here. So lots of colors, textures, shapes in this. Here you can see these, they mirror each other. It's a formal garden, so lots of symmetry here. And you can see the orange berries of the winterberry in the winter garden right behind it. And so that's where we will leave you today, is in the winter garden. Beautiful orange berries. We have noticed that the birds don't eat these Or if they do, it's eventually after all the red berries are gone. They don't seem to prefer that cultivar with orange berries. Some more allium seed heads tucked in here. So you just don't need containers. The tropicals have gone in to the greenhouse for the season. And we have the subtle containers here right now. Thank you for joining us for another virtual tour of the Ambler Arboretum. I hope that this has inspired you to think differently about your containers and the possibilities of the plants and the plant material you have all around you. The Arboretum and public gardens, like the Arboretum and the members of the Greater Philadelphia Gardens, aspire to be inspiring. That's what we hope to be. We want our visitors to come to our gardens and to leave inspired to make change or try something new or test out a new plant or tell their friends about the great things they've seen. And so even though you aren't able to be here with us in the gardens right now, I hope that these videos will continue to inspire and that you will share what you've seen with your friends. And we are looking forward very much to when we can see you on the paths again. Take good care, stay healthy, and visit us and learn more about us by visiting arboretum.temple.edu. Check out our Instagram page and sign up for programs. Our 2021 series of programs is coming together very nicely, and you can always check our community events page to find out what programs we have going on and how to register for them. Thank you again for visiting us. We hope to see you soon.